I'm Odin, and welcome to DIY Prop Shop, where we recreate props using everyday materials without breaking the bank.
This'll be a blast!
This episode is brought to you by Mafia 3. Family is who you die for. Today I'm making Ziggs bomb from the game League of Legends. It's a classic styled cannonball bomb with skulls painted on the sides and a large fuse on top. So to start my bomb out, I'm going to use a 6-inch styrofoam ball. Ziggs bomb is described as having a white skull that's hastily painted on. I want to give my skulls a little bit of dimension, so I can take a piece of the white fun foam, I'll heat it up with a heat gun to stretch it to the shape of the ball so I can cut out the skull and then glue it on. So I got one piece of fun foam. I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half so I can make a skull to go on each side of the bomb. So I'm just going to hold this for a second, let the foam cool, and then it'll keep the shape of the ball. This way it's close to the right shape to begin with. Because it is actually described as being hastily painted on, I'm just going to freehand the skull. I'm just going to cut it out, and I'm not concerned about directly following my line, because it's not only going to get painted, I'm also first going to cover it with spackle. What I want to do is make sure this doesn't happen. So I'm going to take the ball and mash a flat spot onto it. Next, I want to make the small round part that goes on the top. This is where the fuse goes into the bomb. To make this shape, I'm just going to use a piece of styrofoam sheet. It's not perfect, but that's okay. I'll just sand it. That'll be round enough. The top is round, my bottom is a little wonky sided, but as long as I glue it with this side up, it'll all look round. To make the little feet that come off this, I'm gonna cut that out of the styrofoam. I'm just gonna cut a couple of squares out. What I wanna do is cut these not in half, but diagonally. But first I want to cut about 1/3 of it off so it all becomes quite thinner. Even though I tried to cut them straight up and down, I know I didn't. They're all a little bit different, a little bit unique. That's okay. Now what I want to do is to make sure everything fits easily. So you saw I press down, and all I gotta do is cut out this little circle and it'll fit together neatly. Now I'm just gonna hot glue the pieces on. And I'm gonna use a low temperature hot glue gun so it doesn't melt the styrofoam. I have a skull on both sides. And now, so it doesn't just look like styrofoam, I'm going to cover the whole thing in spackle. What I want to do is put a very light coat. I don't want to fill it in completely. What I want to do is fill in most of the foam, but leave that texture that cast iron has. There's a lot of gaps in between the styrofoam that I cut and the green styrofoam ball. I can fill all that in with the spackle, so once it's painted, it all looks like one piece. It's pretty well frosted. All we have to do now is give it a chance to dry. That can take anywhere from a couple of hours to overnight, depending on your weather. So this has gotten a chance to dry. The spackle is actually safe to touch. Now what I want to do is sand it. Just knock some of the high points off. I want to go ahead and make the skull faces clean because those need to look like they're painted. And I got to be careful I don't sand too much off the top. Now one nice thing with using the spackle, if at any point you accidentally sand a little too much off, you can always just apply a little more, give it a chance to dry, and sand it down again. Now I need to think about painting it. So I'm going to use crimson for the main body. I've got white for the skulls, and then about some black that I can mix with the white to get the gray that I want. So I'm going to start with white, because I don't want to paint white over red. I'd rather paint red around white. I can see the difference between the white of the paint and the white of the spackle, because the spackle has a bit of yellow to it. I'm pretty happy with these. I think I can move on to the crimson. What I think I'm going to do is actually paint the bottom first and give that a chance to set up so that I can set it down and be able to do the top. Give Giving the bottom a chance to dry. Now I can grab it by that, finish the rest. So I'm gonna move on to doing the top part here, a dark gray. I didn't buy a dark gray. All I have is black and white, but mixing gray is pretty easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the white I have left over, add a little bit of black. While this is drying, there's one last little detail I want to do. This thing needs a fuse. My plan was to take a small bit of nylon rope, and I'm going to go ahead and paint it black, so I have a short little fuse to poke out of the top of this. Got myself some 1/4-inch nylon cord. I'm going to cut off more than I need, stick it into a clamp so I can set it down, and I'm just going to paint this black. Painting it will stiffen it up, so if I'm careful, I should actually be able to pose it. We have a fuse, we have a bomb. Next step is to put some weathering on it. So I'm just going to water down black craft paint. You could also use an airbrush if you have one. Make some darker shadows around the top. So all I'm doing is painting on a line of black paint. Then I come back with the other brush, dip it in just water, make the paint run, and turn it into kind of a wash. It seemed a little too evenly coated with just black smudge. All I'm trying to do now is take some water and just with downstrokes push the paint towards the bottom and see if I can't expose a little more of the red. So the black wash is kind of delicate. I'm going to cover up with some clear top coat. So my clear coat's gotten a chance to dry. Now all I need to do is add the fuse on top. I'm just going to take a drill bit, drill a little hole. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the end with a little bit of electrical tape and just place the fuse right in. Here is my short fuse bomb. It's a simple little prop that was a blast to do. Now Ziggs can produce one of these every 12 seconds or so. I can make them pretty quick, but not that fast. Now you can use these same techniques to make your own props and ideas. We love seeing your versions of the projects that we've done in the past and the cool new props that you're coming up with. Let us know in the comments what other builds we should do. And if you try any of these for yourself, please send us a picture at DIYPropShop@break.com. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe. What? You mean this doesn't look safe? Thanks again to Mafia 3 for sponsoring this episode.